we're not going to take up guns. It is the conditions which will make it possible for us to take up guns. We cannot just sit back and behave like everything is okay. We can no longer tolerate this nonsense. Leave ZUMA alone. If it was true, it's ZUMA who broke that. These guys have been in power since ZUMA left now. Why didn't they fix it? Why didn't they fix PRASA? If it was broken by ZUMA and not the ANC. So leave ZUMA alone. There is just generally incapacity that comes with being a cadre of the ANC. Guys, governance, to get it right, you don't need anything. You need to punish corruption. Corruption is not punishable in South Africa. Corruption has got eyes. Corruption is prosecution of corruption has got eyes and is selective. You ought to punish corruption. That's how the Chinese got it right. So leave ZUMA alone.
Leave ZUMA alone. Corruption is not punished in South Africa. Those are the words of a man who had fought and criticized Jacob Zuma during his mandate. We're talking about the president of EFF, Julius Malema, who was addressing the EFF 10th anniversary launch today. He spoke about quite a lot of things, which I would like to have a conversation with you. So I'm inviting you to watch this video until the end so that you can get to understand exactly what was his message in this conference or lunch that he had with a journalist. But before we even get to develop more about this video, have first listen to what the president of EFF had said earlier on.
So when you describe us as a group of opportunistic people who could not find their way in the ANC, they want to use this to uplift themselves in society. What do you mean when we have had so many chances in the past 10 years? You argue there with some mama there of the ANC. She doesn't argue. She doesn't say anything. But no, let's put it to vote. She just raised her hand like this. You have lost. The second time she's going to participate is when she takes her bag and put those food of the committee in the bag. That's what they do. And then they go home. You lost a brilliant idea. Lost, gone. Our own polling said the ANC is going to get 45, the DA 16, EFF 13. And that was in November. It was conducted by Ipsos, by the not in internal EFF Mbuiseni Institute research. Ipsos. I don't understand why that research was not shared with the public. It's there. The negativity, the positivity, all of that is there. We have nothing to hide. In November, when load shedding was not stage 6, just before the ANC conference, in the absence of election mood, the EFF polled at 13% and the DA at 16 and the ANC at 45. When Mashaba came DP, he closed something that had a lot of volunteers. They were from Alex, a lot of Josie at work. When you go, none of you went to research, because that research is very simple. We need, from a municipality, give us list of these Josie at work workers, their names and their addresses, whatever. We want to see. Go and check them one by one. Those are ANC Youth League, ANC members who do the factional campaigning for the individuals who are in power in the ANC and who do an election campaign for the ANC. Panyaza announced now, who is the chairperson of the EFF here? I sent that an advertisement of Panyaza of going to hire 6,000. What are they going to do? Public safety and I knew. I told them. I said, there's no hiring on public safety here. These are ANC volunteers. They are hiring them for 2024. 7 cardinal pillars, they will never be out of fashion. Not even the ANC 2017 conference can make them irrelevant. They tried and went to sponsor some expropriation of land with compensation and without compensation on the rotten land. And you can see that you will never replace that. The land question today constitutes the core of every debate you can think of. The Judge President of Western Cape spoke about this land issue way after 2017. Everybody else who wants to fight the regime, the first thing they do, they tell them about the land and say, look at the patterns of land ownership in South Africa and want to tell us we have won. So you can be guaranteed the EFF 7 non-negotiable cardinal pillars will constitute the core of every election manifesto of the EFF and become relevant. You can go to every young person, even in the private schools. When they lose an argument against a white person, the first thing they say is, you stole our land. Because they know that it hits where it matters the most. And that's a reality we'll never go away from until we resolve the land question. Guys, governance, to get it right, you don't need anything. You need to punish corruption. Corruption is not punishable in South Africa. Corruption has got eyes. Corruption is prosecution of corruption has got eyes and is selective. You ought to punish corruption. That's how the Chinese got it right. You are not going to get it right if there are not going to be special courts like the 2010 special courts that are going to be exclusively for corruption, speedily and decisively. You do that within a short space of time. A lot of these people who want to commit corruption in society, they will know that corruption is punishable. The last prominent case of corruption we had was John Block. And when was that? So it can be that corruption goes unpunished and we say, no, what can you do differently? We must punish corruption.
Well, guys, that is the president of EFF, Julius Malema. So he was kind of like talking about a lot of things. As you all know that we don't have all the time in the world to be sitting here and discussing about it or showing everything. So we have just summarized some important part which would like to comment and give you our analytics about it. And as he was talking, he raised, there were a couple of questions which was coming from the media. It was all about question and answer. There were this question which bring many people to attention when they had to ask him about what the deputy president of EFF, Floyd Shivambu, had said about what the EFF they are capable of, whether to take even the armies in order for them to take the power in this country. First of all, let's have listen to what the president of EFF, Julius Malema, said in response about that. Then I'll see you after then.
We say in the EFF constitution and the founding manifesto that we will use every means necessary to attain our freedom. And means necessary means guns. But you can't write guns there because that Zondo will not approve the registration of this political party. Because it will say, hey, we can't have a party like that. And we're not going to take up guns. It is the conditions which will make it possible for us to take up guns. No one is going to threaten our existence through guns. And we keep on protesting with posters. But you can't win that if you don't conscientize society. In the absence of these numbers we are talking about, which 1 million must be converted into quality, and that quality must go and conscientize society. Because if we don't do that with the masses of our people at the back of the EFF, we are a terrorist organization. We are Boko Haram. So we don't want to be a Boko Haram. We want to be a political party that enjoys the support of its people through conscience. So we sent to our people on the 20th of March, let's go and show our dissatisfaction. Why is it like that? We cannot just sit back and behave like everything is okay. It is the masses through rising that they will be able to tell the government that we've reached a point where we can no longer tolerate this nonsense. But without those types of actions, government thinks it is on the right track. So we need to conscientize the masses, because the masses are going to say, but why the 20th of March? Why are we doing what we are doing? Then we start talking to them and saying to them, the country is going down. The country is collapsing. And therefore, if you don't rise in the defense of the country, it's gone. It is 20th of March. It is a peaceful protest. All of us will be there. And no one must dare do what they did on the 21st of March, when our people were demanding that these passes must be done away with. If they dare do that, then they are creating conditions for arms to be picked up. There is nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong, in political space for arms to be taken up. If the conditions refuse a free democratic participation, where people express themselves without fear of persecution and death, then we're left with no option. No one says no one must take up guns. No one says we're going to take up guns. But if the conditions dictate, and we've got the support of our people, we'll definitely not hesitate to take up arms and fight for our country, because that's the only option we will be left with. And we will not be the first one, by the way. Mandela did it. When he fought throughout peacefully, the ANC did it. When they fought peacefully, when conditions dictated for them to take up arms, they didn't hesitate. They took up arms, and they did exactly that.
There are two things I would like to comment about this that the president of EFF, Julius Malema, have said. The first thing I notice is that it is kind of like a threat which is trying to tell the world that regardless of what influence they might have on South Africa politics, they must know that EFF, it is a revolution movement. Therefore, they are ready and they are willing to go even far to do whatsoever a revolution movement can do in order for them to conquer power. So they kind of like trying to also threaten the Occident, saying that regardless of what you guys are trying to do in South Africa, we a revolution movement, and you guys, you are well aware of the history of all the revolution movement around the world. That is the reason why I even get to give the example of Castro and his movement, Cuba people, how he managed to do all those things. So he kind of like trying to threaten them and trying to remind them. The second thing we should note about his message, the president of EFF, Julius Malema, he also kind of like sending a strong message, whether it is to the ruling party, the ANC, and whether it is the Open Eye Masters. They should know that the EFF, they are not that stupid as a revolution movement who knows their rights, who knows how to conquer power by using all the strategies that they can, whether it is violence or not, whether it is taking guns or not. They are not that stupid if they are not asking the fighters so far in the EFF to conquer power through the violence way or using force against the ruling government. So they kind of like trying to say that we are not that stupid if we're trying to conquer power through the elections. So therefore, you guys, you need also to do things in the proper way before we get to reach to the bad things, because we can do much better than this. And he had even to remind people the reason why next month on the 20th, how he had called for the national shutdown, because it is very important. It is also part of the revolutions parties. So guys, another party that he get to comment or he get to give the answer was when he had to respond to people who thinking that the EFF, they are fighting for the position. So he had to remind people that the EFF, we are not, they are not the opportunists. So therefore, there's no need for people to think in that way. So he gets to give one of the example, which I kind of like find it was a secret, which he never really revealed about it so far. Let's first listen to what he had to say about this.
No, when President Ramaphosa became president, I'm not sure if I told you this, we went to see him at his house not in his, the official residences in Cape Town. Yeah, it was me and Floyd. It was just the three of us. And before we started the discussion, we said to him, we should not, throughout this discussion, mention giving each other positions. We must never talk about positions. If you talk about positions, we're going to walk out here. And we spoke about issues that affect this country and the possible solutions which can be provided. When we removed ZUMA and he came in, that's what we spoke about. Typical ANC guy, because we are from there was no way he was not going to talk about positions. Then he said to us, no man, I was thinking, I know you said we must not talk about that, but if you and Floyd can just come in. We said, you see now, we are going to walk away from this meeting because we are not yet to talk about positions. So in the conditions that we put everywhere, positions have never been our conditions. And if we're opportunistic the way we're described by many, would have accepted a lot of opportunistic positions that were offered to us in different capacities, including, by the way, in the negotiations for coalitions. When we were raising issues, the ANC was saying, take that municipality, we will take. We said, no, before we arrive there, let's first agree on these principles. And we couldn't agree. We went our separate ways. The same happened to DA. We couldn't agree. We went our different ways. So when you describe us as a group of opportunistic people who could not find their way in the ANC, they want to use this to uplift themselves in society. What do you mean when we have had so many chances in the past 10 years, including money, by the way, including money? There was a group of Jews who said to me, 50 million, you walk away from politics. I said, what am I going to do? Because I can't even be a bank teller or anything of that sort. Politics, I can't walk away from politics. So we've refused all of that, sticking to these principles that we're talking about.
A day before yesterday, I did play a video for you on how coal of South Africa mining is being stolen from the government and from people of South Africa who are supposed to be benefiting as number one of this coal. And in these videos, there were a lot of things which were said according to different analytics that we come across with. If you have not get a chance to watch it, go through our channel, you will see the videos right there. But the president of EFF, he came also and tried to speak about it, talking about the price increasing of coal and how people of South Africa are not even benefiting from it because of what we all know that has been going on. Let's have a listen.
The state is not inherently corrupt and incapacitated. No. I said to you, fight corruption and the greedy capitalist agenda. We used to deliver more tons of coal to Richards Bay through Transnet. When a ton of coal was cheap, the ton of coal now is very expensive. Very good opportunity for coal industry in South Africa to take coal to Richards Bay and sell to these people and still feed ourselves with the same coal. We are delivering way less than what we used to deliver when coal was cheap. We should be delivering more now because it means more money for our country. Transnet has been incapacitated. Leave ZUMA alone. If it was true, it's ZUMA who broke that, these guys have been in power since ZUMA left now. Why didn't they fix it? Why didn't they fix PRASA? If it was broken by ZUMA and not the ANC. So leave ZUMA alone. There is just generally incapacity that comes with being a cadre of the ANC.
Well, it's for a simple reason. It is more obvious that people of South Africa will never gonna benefit from this coal. And regardless of what we are facing as a crisis with the load shedding and the food price increasing and everything, these kind of things, they're supposed to be playing a very big role in all this. But unfortunately, since we still have to deal with some corruption pending somewhere, obviously there's nothing good will come from this. Now, guys, the president of EFF, Julius Malema, spoke about corruption. Yes. And he says something very important. Julius Malema gets to comment about the Ruita on what he had said previously in the media. We all know that the Ruita had dropped a big bomb. Yes, a bombshell in the camp of the ruling party and some other politicians, where it has raised a lot of points. Now we get to see some people trying to take each other to the court because they want to go to the bottom of this. But what was the point of view of the president of EFF? Because so far, they remain the only political parties who have not taken any actions or comment much about it. But today, the president of EFF, Julius Malema, get to speak about this Eskom, blah, blah, blah things. Let's have a listen.
Today, the Reta is being accused of this and that. We said this long time ago, that the guy did not run the company he came from. Huh? Nampak, which Tito Mboweni was part of. Tito Mboweni, remember, this person was brought by Tito Mboweni, by the way. Brought his friend from Nampak, who failed dismally. Brought him here. We said, no, this is wrong. Look at us where we are today. We are effectively in stage 8, and they don't announce it. Because those things of stage 6 is going this time, coming this time, it's no longer working. We don't know. You don't know when is the electricity going, when is the electricity coming back. So we are in stage 8, if there is anything of that sort. What is left now is for this thing to be officially collapsed.
Indeed, it is true. The president of EFF, Julius Malema, did spoke about these things before. Far away. That was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in 2018 when he said these words.
We know very well that Jamnandas and Cyril Ramaphosa, they never deploy a person if they don't have an agenda of stealing. They send you here to come and steal on their behalf, because that's what they do. They did that with NPA, they did that with SARS, they do that with all the state-owned companies. They put people who are going to channel the resources of the government into the hands of white monopoly capital. So we are here to tell you, but to also warn you that we know their agenda.
I believe after listening to these words, you get to understand why the EFF, they are not really entertaining what the Ruita had said about the massive corruption that is taking place at the Eskom, because they overseen this coming and they knew that all these things was happening all along. So for them, they are not really surprised about it. But he also get to talk about Gwede Mantashe. He described Gwede Mantashe like this man called Gwede Mantashe.
That man called Gwede, remember, he was in the commission, the guy with the cameras. When you say, hey, we have rescued NPA from a capture, why is Gwede not charged for the cameras of Bosasa? Why? Why are the Bosasa culprits not charged till to date, despite evidence being there, despite Gwede accepting that, yes, the cameras were installed there by me? And then Thabang Makwetla, who says, I'm still waiting for invoice. What type of an excuse is that? After how many years of installing cameras? Nomvula never refused to eating chickens. Why is he not charged? But we are all accepting, hey, NPA is now independent. No, there's no such a thing. Corruption is not punishable in South Africa. That's what leads to state incapacity. Our state has been paralyzed and collapsed by corruption.
So tell me, you're an EFF member, EFF supporter.
Yeah.
Why do you believe in the EFF?
No, because of this corruption.
So you think Julius can stop this corruption?
I think so and I hope so.
I've lost confidence in politicians.
Sure.
I've not lost confidence in the
country.
people who are working the state, who are deeply capable and technical to turn it around. The problem is not the state, it's not the technocrats, it's the politicians. If you removed the politicians and their meddling, you'd find incredibly capable people who know what they're doing. Let me make this as a controversial statement, and I'll say it to you because you're a brother. If, God forbid, what happened to Keenan Forbes happened during apartheid, and the apartheid government wanted to find the killer, they would have found that killer in 24 hours.
You're joking.
That is a fact, and I know it as much as you do. So, the question for citizens to ask themselves is, how could we have gone from such an incredibly capable state to the state of such incapability? I think that there are incredibly capable, talented people. You'll find them in the public service. You'll find them every day, diligent, doing their job.
Yeah.
But I think, like you and me, they are equally frustrated at these forces that come to bear every single day. A public servant has a career, JJ. They have a career. They work 30 years. They accrue a pension. A politician doesn't. And so what you find are people who have a 5-year mandate to accumulate capital, enforcing themselves on people who have a 30-year mandate to build.
It is more clear that corruption, it is something that most of people get to agree that indeed corruption does exist in this country. But unfortunately, on the other side of the world, it seems like some people, they're still not living the same reality as you and me do get to see everything as this one.
ANC is not corrupt.
What a joke, my darling. And you're still lying, my darling. You're still lying. You are a pathetically...
We are heading for a big trouble. And the ANC today says, no, we don't know what you are talking about.
Well, guys, it is not for the first time that we get to see the president of EFF, Julius Malema, talking about these things of Busasa, Gwedmantash, there is cameras, there is what, why it's not being called. For many times, you've been complaining about these things of Gwedmantash, why they leave him and never been held accountable of those cameras that were there, which had shows a lot of evidence that could have helped the state on how to find out the truth about the whole situation. So that is something that for him is still continuing saying that it is all corruption that is still taking place here and then. But he had to remind also President Ramaphosa and his cabinet that on the 20th of March, they are going to resign. After President Ramaphosa leave the office, his cabinet will have also to resign with immediate effect. And after then, the ANC, which is the ruling party, they'll have to nominate someone else who will have to come out to nominate a new cabinet. Then that cabinet must be able to work hard within 15 months in order for them to win again the trust of South African people. Let's have a listen to what he said about it.
If Cyril Ramaphosa resigns, the ANC cabinet, all of it goes with him. They must get a new president and get a new cabinet that will demonstrate 15 months before elections if they are serious about resolving the problems or not. It could be that it is just digging further the hole when you are inside the hole. So we know that they've got no capacity, none whatsoever. If Cyril goes, there's nothing left of them. Some of them won't even come back because their affection would have lost to Cyril. They are keeping Cyril there because they are eating through Cyril. So be rest assured, the ANC is going to enter elections at its weakest, with or without Cyril. But But we cannot fold our arms and say we're waiting for 15 months to come. We are dying now. We're not going to die in the next 15 months. And we have to put a stop to this.
In one of my videos, I had tried to give my point of view or my analytics about this. And some of the questions which I raised through that analysis was very simple, which I had even I would like actually to see the president of EFF, Julius Malema, giving me the answer to that, because my question was to know, will the ANC have to sit and relax and see all this happening? Because we're talking about ANC, guys. It's not a small party, but we're talking about a very big party in this country. So regardless of what could be the measurement that the EFF they are taking so far to remove President RAMAPHOSA from the seat, will that be possible? We shall wait and see about that. But guys, you know, when Julius Malema spoke about how they should leave former President Jacob Zuma and they should count him out of all this, he said something which was very important. And he gave you a very, very easy example to say that regardless of what you are trying to blame or implement, trying to involve former President Jacob Zuma, that we have inherited this, because the President of the Republic himself, he had said these words. That was recently in the parliament when he was giving the response to the debates, to the SONA debate that was taking place. So the President Ramaphosa said that he had inherited this situation. That was not even about a week ago. But today, not long ago, I think yesterday, before yesterday, the president says that some of the responsibilities when it comes to the load shedding and the electricity, it is not his business. Now, as you see how confused we are. At the same time, you said that we inherited. If you did inherit it from someone, which means that person and you were the responsibles. Whatever you have inherited from each other, it's something that you guys are supposed to fix or to solve it out. But the next things is coming saying that no, this is not part of my job. Well, that's how confused we are. But what I want to say by all this is the part where when he get to say when they say that the former president Jacob Zuma had something to do about with all this, I found it a bit strange, because when you get to listen to the president of EFF, he even given them a very easy example of saying that if Zuma had damaged the Transnet, then the current government should have fixed it, isn't it?
Leave Zuma alone. If it was true, it's Zuma who broke that. These guys have been in power since Zuma left now. Why didn't they fix it? Why didn't they fix PRASA? If it was broken by Zuma and not the ANC. So leave Zuma alone. There is just generally incapacity that comes with being a cadre of the ANC.
Well, guys, it's been for some times now that we all know that the EFF, they're in power as well. They are controlling some parties of the country, whether it is metro, whether it is a state, whatever it is. They are having their own MMC who are taking control of all these things. So obviously, as I keep on telling you time to time, that we are living in the campaign here, because the general election, it will be next year. So this year, it is all about where we get to see political parties trying to impress people on how they can do good compared to the ruling party. And therefore, the EFF, they feel like they don't have much excuse if they want to win the upcoming election in 2024, I mean to say. So they kind of like trying to win people trust. And therefore, among one of their MMC in Johannesburg, they had gave him some instructions, because this man is a serious fighter who've been tackling whatsoever has been going in the Ilbro and Berea, those hijacks buildings, and a lot of things that this man is being in charge through the mandate of the EFF.
Those are the things that we must fix. We must work very sharp, ready to search and seizure Every one of us, even including myself, when we are walking down the streets, you must bring something with you that you've done, one by one. What did you do? We need a list of the people who we are going to be deploying. I myself, I was in this street and I searched so many people. I got so many things. You must get a knife, you must get anything, you must do something. There is no time to loiter, no time to chat, no time to do anything. We are working. We must attack. All those criminals there in the MTN rank, in those streets there, they must feel that the JMPD is here. You mustn't be part of the team. If something is obstructing you, shove it off. Everyone must be picked up. You must search them as you're walking around, asking, where are you from? What are you doing here? So that's the operation that we're going to be doing. 3 in CBD, we're doing 1 in Hillbrook, we're doing another 1 in Yeoville. We are going to those buildings you thought that is not going to happen. Binam Court out. That's another one, Casamia. All buildings that there's a syndicate, there are drugs. We're entering, take everyone out. With the speaker's request, maybe we might demolish it. I didn't say that. We are not going to tolerate crime. I'm ready to go to court. I'm ready to be arrested if I'm breaking the law. Because the people are getting pickpocketed, and people are getting chokehold, people are getting stabbed, others are getting raped, and all of that. We are going to do the same thing in El Dorado. We're not going to be controlled by drug dealers, where our mothers are being shot and sisters there in El Dorado. The same thing. No nonsense. So we want all your support to chase these criminals away.
And this man, they want to assassinate him. This man, they want to eliminate him, because that's what we know how these people they are doing. Whenever they feel like you want to step or you want to close way, they usually steal. They'll try to come and eliminate you. So according to the president of EFF, he says something very interesting, which I would like you guys first to have a listen. Then we'll continue after them.
Leadership, the political leadership must have the will and work and not be scared to take charge. We have taken charge now. Everybody is making calls. Please, please, please protect the MMC of public safety in Johannesburg, because the things that you guys are doing there in Hillbrook, he's going to be killed. We don't want to know who's the drug lord here. We don't want to know who hijacked this building. It is hijacked. We enter it, take out all those people. Close it down. We don't care. We are not part of drugs. We are not part of criminal syndicates. That's why we can confront these criminals, irrespective of their nationality. A criminal is a criminal. When we entered there, we found that clinic which was not working. In Zandspruit, comrades, a clinic is not working because a generator is broken. Generator is broken, and therefore medication cannot be put in a cold room, and they close the clinic. When we arrive there, we think there is a big problem. Generator, it needs a service. Generators, from time to time, they get service. Just for the generator to be serviced so that the clinic can continue serving our people. No one has ever run a story about how we found a collapsed generator, not because it's broken, because it's not being serviced. And the municipality has got service providers on a database that must be called, not a tender, to submit 3 quotations, accept 1, go and service that generator. Don't wait for it to actually collapse, because they tell you, generators these days, that it's time for service. Zandspruit. Then we must go on with the person who was responsible for that generator. We need to know who was responsible to servicing that generator, and he must be fired. He didn't service the generator because he was busy singing. They were singing ANC songs. We need to find a person who was supposed, because in China that person would have been killed. You know why? So many people died. because of that generator not being serviced. In China, they would have killed him because he's a murderer. So we told our MMC, get to the bottom of this. We need to know who was responsible for the servicing of the generator and did not service it, and discipline them according to the laws of South Africa. We are not going to be subjected to cadre deployment, where the ANC in the last council wanted to bring a former HOD of public safety through a back door without talking to the EFF that is heading that public safety. When you go to check, why was this person suspended? Why is being brought back through a back door? It's a cadre deployment. We said nonsense. No cadre deployment under the EFF here. This person, before he's reinstated, we want to know why was he suspended in the first place. And if the reasons are genuine, he must be subjected to all the processes. And if he's going to be fired, let him be fired. We don't care if he's a senior cadre or he knows how to sing the loudest in the ANC. We're not part of that nonsense. We're about giving our people quality service. And that's what our people are going to get.
Well, guys, what's to take from all this? Because we get to listen all the message, the part that we had prepared for you in this video. And what we should take from all this is that corruption, it is indeed a distraction for any economy. And if we are where we are today with the grade list that we being involved in, is not something that we should feel proud of, because we will be surprised tomorrow if the economy of Namibia get to raise even more, to become even more stronger than our economy. Therefore, corruption is something that we need to both fight, regardless of what could be your political party. And you know, sometimes, because people who are involved in corruptions, they don't really want to give up easy. They are kind of people who can blackmail you. They can kidnap your family, your wife, your children, just to threaten you. They are kind of people, they can bully you physically, morally, you know, mentally. They can do anything in their power just to make sure that you don't stop them. And you guys get to listen even to what the Rita had said, that this system has been there, and everyone who tried to talk about it, they eliminate this person. And that's how it's going. And we get to see, when you listen to what the president of EFF, Julius Malema, just said now about the MMC or in city of Joburg, you get to understand that that is kind of bully, that's kind of a threat. So that this man, when he wake up from his bed, he look his wife, before he get to leave his house, he look the pictures of his children going to school, then he's going to be afraid of him not executing what was his mandate, to go and take all this hijacked building and arrest all these drug dealers that are full all over in Hillbrow. And that's not how things are supposed to work. So every time these people, they come, if you don't have such people who can have this kind of a strong language to attack back at this cartel of this kind of people, then corruption will never gonna finish. We can fight it in any ways, but it will never gonna finish. So if we want to finish corruptions, guys, we have at least to be strong. Yes, they threaten you that they're going to kill you, then you also, in response, you come very harsh on them, you even hit them even very harsh. Then slow by slow, you get to see that these things will get to finish. So it was a very interesting moment that the president of EFF and the EFF member had with the media as they were trying to exchange from question to questions. That we really do also encourage that kind of things, because communication is better than anything. And it is very good that they come up to open up and clarify certain of the matters. And on our side, we feel that it was very good for us also to come here, sit down, try to give you our analytics, obviously, with our commentary as well on each part of the questions that the president of EFF, Julius Malema, was answering to. So we really do appreciate your time being here on this video until to this part. We really do appreciate that, but don't leave without giving me your thumbs up. I really do also appreciate that, because it is very important. If this is your first time to watch our videos, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and join this big family in a different social medias that we are time to time. And I promise you that you're not going to be disappointed, because we get to talk about serious matters and serious trending topic that is happening in the actualities. So thank you so much. I'll see you again very soon in our next video, but for now, continue to be yourself, be good, be kind, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon. Ciao, ciao.